Eat the bugs, own nothing, live in a smart city, use less, rent more, share everything, trust the experts. To supporters, this sounds like the future. To critics, it sounds like a cage with better branding. And behind many of these ideas, one name keeps appearing: Klaus Schwab. He is not a president. He is not a king. Most people never voted for him. But for decades, some of the most powerful people on Earth have traveled to Davos, Switzerland, to attend the World Economic Forum. Presidents, prime ministers, billionaires, bankers, CEOs, tech leaders, media executives, academics, and global institutions. They do not go there to watch a show. They go there to talk about the future of food, the future of money, the future of work, the future of technology, the future of health, the future of the planet. And that is why Klaus Schwab became so controversial. Because the strange thing is not that he personally controls the world. The strange thing is that so many powerful people keep showing up in the same room, and the rest of us are expected to believe this is just a conference. Davos is not a parliament. Nobody votes for it. Ordinary people do not choose who gets invited. But the people inside those rooms can influence the ideas that governments, corporations, banks, universities, and media start taking seriously. That is the first dark side. Influence without elections. Power without direct accountability, and decisions about the future being shaped far away from the people who will have to live in that future. Then there is food. The World Economic Forum has published articles saying insects could play a role in future food systems. The argument is sustainability. Insects can provide protein, they can require less land, they can use fewer resources, and they may produce fewer emissions than traditional livestock. But food is not only a math problem. Food is culture. Food is freedom. Food is memory. Food is family. So when global elites talk about alternative proteins and future diets, many people do not hear innovation. They hear, "You will eat differently because we decided the old system is unsustainable." That is why Eat the Bugs became so powerful. It is not just about insects. It is about who gets to decide what normal food will look like. Then there is ownership. One of the most infamous lines connected to the World Economic Forum is, "I own nothing. I don't own a car. I don't own a house. I don't own appliances or clothes. Everything becomes a service." On paper, this can sound efficient. Less waste, less overconsumption, less need to own things you rarely use. But the dark side is obvious. If everything becomes a service, then everything can become a subscription. And if everything is a subscription, then everything can be priced, tracked, restricted, or taken away. Your car, your home, your software, your tools, your entertainment, your money, your identity, your access to the system. Ownership gives people independence. A subscription gives someone else control. And this is why the phrase "own nothing" scared so many people, not because it became a law, but because it sounded like the world people were already watching appear around them. Homes getting harder to buy, cars getting more expensive, software becoming subscriptions, media becoming subscriptions, heating, driving, traveling, eating, and even speaking becoming more regulated, monitored, and managed. Then came the Great Reset. During the COVID crisis, Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum argued that the world had a rare opportunity to rethink capitalism and rebuild systems. To supporters, that sounded responsible. a chance to build a more sustainable and fairer economy. But to critics, the words sounded terrifying, because when powerful people say reset during a crisis, ordinary people ask, reset by whom? Reset for whom? And who gets reset first? That is the second dark side of Klaus Schwab. The language often sounds positive. Sustainability, inclusion, resilience, stakeholder capitalism, public-private cooperation. But many people hear a different message underneath. Less personal freedom, more corporate involvement, more digital control, more expert management, more rules for ordinary people, and more exceptions for the powerful. Because the people telling the world to use less are often not the people who will live with less. The people talking about carbon footprints fly to global meetings. The people talking about owning less sit on boards, foundations, companies, and institutions. The people talking about food transformation are not the ones who will be forced to buy the cheapest future food. And that is why the image of Davos became so damaging. Private jets, luxury hotels, security fences, global speeches about sacrifice. That contrast is impossible to ignore. Then there is the Leadership Network. The World Economic Forum also created the Young Global Leaders community. On paper, this is a program for talented young leaders who want to solve complex global problems. But to critics, it looks like something else, a pipeline. A network, a way to identify future politicians, business leaders, activists, tech leaders, and media figures before they become powerful. And once again, the question is not whether every person in that network is bad. The question is, why does one private global forum need a pipeline into the next generation of leaders? When the same institutions train the leaders, host the leaders, connect the leaders, and then advise the leaders, it starts to look less like democracy and more like managed consensus. This is the deeper fear around Klaus Schwab. Not that he sits in a dark room pressing buttons, but that the world is slowly being run through networks most people cannot see, cannot join, and cannot vote out. And in 2025, even Schwab's own legacy came under pressure. After more than 5 decades as the face of the World Economic Forum, he stepped down as chair. Then the WEF launched an investigation after whistleblower allegations about misconduct and governance. Schwab and his family denied the allegations. Later, the WEF said it found no evidence of material wrongdoing, but the damage to the image was already there. Because the organization that talks about trust, governance, transparency, and global responsibility suddenly had to answer questions about its own internal governance. And that is the final dark side. The World Economic Forum tells the world it wants to improve the state of the world. But who checks the people who want to improve the world? Who watches the watchers? Who audits the global elite? Who decides when public-private cooperation becomes too private? Who decides when sustainability becomes control? Who decides when convenience becomes dependency? Who decides when the future stops being chosen by citizens and starts being designed by institutions? That is why Klaus Schwab became more than a man. He became a symbol of Davos, a symbol of global elites, a symbol of the Great Reset, a symbol of public-private power, a symbol of a future where ordinary people may be asked to own less, eat differently, travel less, accept more digital systems, and trust experts they never chose. To supporters, this is coordination. To critics, it is control. And that is why the Klaus Schwab story is so powerful, because it is not really about one man. It is about a question. Who gets to design the future? The voters, the citizens, the markets, the governments, or the people invited into the room?